Good morning, everybody. And as usual, happy Saturday. It's a great day. So I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me for today. So for today's SIG mobility class, we are going to need one long and one short stick. We are going to be focusing a lot on shoulder and upper body based drills. So we're going to focus on some shoulder extension. We're going to get into a little bit of behind and neck presses with the stick. This is to kind of prime the shoulder, but also working on that push-pull and all these different ranges of motion here. We're also going to do a core drill, something that's going to be kind of akin to, well, if you were trying to shovel. So it's going to be a little interesting here. So Joel came up with, it's kind of fun. All right, so we're going to start from the ground up. Everybody ready to get started? All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to have both feet facing forward here. Now, what I want to do is, as I go into these foot and ankle drills, I am going to add in some rotation here. And so I'm going to kind of work through it a little slow. Bottom of the stick is angled in towards me. Hands are stacked at about roughly chest to shoulder height. Squat down a little bit just to make sure everything is stacked up nice and tall. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring both heels up and I'm going to start there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate to my left. As I rotate to my left, I'm going to drop that right heel down. Good. And I'm going to come back to center. My right heel comes up. I'm going to rotate to my right. Now my left heel drops, hovering the heel off the floor the entire time. Excellent. Come back to center. Drop that right heel as you rotate to the left. Remember, keep your heels off the floor. Up. Rotate to the right. Drop that left heel down. Excellent. Going to come back to center. Now we're going to pick the stick up and hover it. We're going to rotate side to side. Keeping the heels up nice and tall. Rotate side to side. Good. Try to stay as balanced as you can. Rotate to the left. Now to the right. Excellent. Back to center. Place the stick down and ease off and relax here. Good. Now we're going to work with the hips, but we're going to incorporate some rotation into it. So we are going to take a split stance. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with my left foot forward first. Start facing the side of the camera. So left foot's going to be forward, and I want to take a relatively big split. Now that back hip, we want that hip facing forward, right? We don't want the hip turned out. We don't want it dropped in. We want to make sure that everything is lined up. I'm going to take the stick and I'm going to grip out pretty wide here. Now from this position, I'm going to lunge forward and straighten that back leg. I want to squeeze that right glute here. And I'm going to hinge a bit. Now from this position, I'm going to pull the stick apart and I'm going to rotate to my left as far as I can. Now I'm going to compress the stick and I'm going to come back down to center. Now I'm going to pull apart again, only about 20%. Rotate to the right. Good, compress. Back to center. Pull apart. Rotate to the left. Compress. Back down to center. Pull apart. Good, compress. Back down to center. Ease off. Come up and switch sides. So I'll face forward here. Right foot is forward, left leg is back. Again, everything is lined up with the hips. I'm gonna load that front leg first. I'm gonna hinge a bit, straighten out that back leg, squeeze that glute, pull the stick apart, rotate to the right towards that front leg. Compress, back down to center. Excellent. Pull apart, rotate to the left. Compress, back down to center. Let's go one more time each way. Pull apart, rotate to the right. Pull that right hand up towards the ceiling. Compress, back to center. Pull apart, rotate to the left. Compress, back to center. And ease off. Excellent, good. Now we're gonna work with lateral hip bumps here. Not really gonna focus on the anterior posterior, just wanna get the lateral hip bumps in. So I'm gonna take a stance a little wider than what we usually do. Typically it's about shoulder width. We're gonna go a little wider here. Stick's gonna be angled in towards me. Hands are stacked. I'm gonna switch my hands. Left hand stacked over my right. Stick is angled in towards me. Drop down, stay up nice and tall. Drive the stick into the floor, about 30%. Gonna bump my right hip up. You wanna keep a slight posterior tilt here. Now bump the left hip up. Good, right. Excellent, left. Good, right. Left. Good, right. Left. Excellent. One more time, right. And left. Back to center and ease off. Excellent. So we're going to get into another spine drill in a second, but we are going to do some kayaking first to kind of loosen up the shoulder blades and the spine a bit. So we're going to start off without the spine rotating, and then we're going to add in some rotations as we go along here. So grip the sticks at the end, or not grip, but have your fingertips on the ends of the stick here. Now from this position, I'm going to have my feet about roughly hip width apart. Start with the right hand up. Keep those elbows straight, and I'm going to drive that right hand through. Slow and controlled. Good. Try to get full range. Shoulder blades should be gliding along the rib cage here. Excellent. Speed should be matching mine, not going any faster. Good. Let's go backwards here. Breathe. Now in a second, I'm going to call us to switch directions again. This time we're going to add in some rotation. All right, so let's go ahead and switch directions. Right hand comes through, rotate to the left, comes up and over. We're going to rotate side to side. Good. Now we're incorporating that spine and the shoulders. Good. 3, 2, 1, and excellent. Good. I'm going to place the short stick down and grab the long stick. Now, I do want to get into a slap shot. Again, this to kind of loosen up all the tissues here. So I'm actually going to show this from the side because it's really important that we keep an eye on where the hips are. We don't want the hips to come forward as we do this. So sticks behind a mid-back. Hands are reaching out. Take a relatively wide stance. What I want to do from here, soft bend to the knees. I'm going to drive my hips back and I'm going to hinge. So this is going to feel like a hamstring stretch already. It might feel pretty good. So let's hold this for a second here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the right end of the stick down to my center line. And from here, I'm going to pull the stick apart. I'm going to get some rotation. Now I'm going to lunge over to my right, driving my hips back. Now lunge to my left. Good. Lunge to the right. Good. Now to the left. Back to center. Now we're going to rotate the other side down. Rotate the left end down. Pull the stick apart. Lunge to the left. Good. Lunge to the right. Excellent. Lunge to the left. And lunge to the right. Good. Back to center. Come out of that rotation. Squeeze the glutes to stand up. And wiggle those feet in. All right. So now we're going to get into think it's gonna be a little harder. We're gonna take the short stick again, or we can go with the long stick if you want more of a challenge here. We're gonna get into propellers. So a lot of people love this one. So I got the short stick here. This is a 5-foot stick. I'm gonna grip the stick right where the sticker is. So you wanna be lined up with the center. Now, it's in my right hand, and I wanna make sure I have about a roughly hip to shoulder width stance. We don't want any kind of movement of the body. Have that right arm straight, elbows locked out the entire time, all 5 fingers on the stick. So from here, grip the stick about 30% tension, and now we're going to rotate, propel the stick, getting internal and external rotation. Keep the hand level to the shoulder. Now, if you're having some trouble keeping that elbow straight, use the other hand as support as we go through this here. Good, keep that grip on the stick. No fingers should be off the stick here. Need to get that full activation of the arm line. Good. Now I'm going to bring my arm out. I don't want to hit the squat rack that's next to me. Good. Keep it at shoulder height. Keep rotating. Keep that grip on the stick. Bring it forward. Excellent. 3, 2, 1. Now you're going to hold the stick vertical, and what we're going to do is we're going to do casting. So I'm going to turn to the side here. Again, elbow straight. Do not bend that elbow. We're going to cast the top of the stick away here. Now we're going to bring it back and cast the bottom away. So we're working on that wrist strength here. Still working on that shoulder too. Good, point the stick away. Let's go back and forth here. Breathe. If your shoulder's burning, that's okay. So is mine. So I'm right there with you, folks. Good, let's go one more. Excellent, let's go to stern to pot. Gonna face forward for this one. Go here, we're gonna start with the bottom of the stick going counterclockwise. So all 5 fingers still gripping the stick. We're gonna do small circles here. That movement is coming from the wrist, nowhere else. Keep the grip on the stick. If you're pretty mobile here, you can typically make some bigger circles. Excellent. Switch directions. Good. And 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Whew. Shoulders burning. We're going to move on to the next one. Go through all the same things. So sticks in the left hand now. Take that same stance. Make sure you're gripping the middle of the stick. Arm is fully extended here. Now, with 30% grip, start to propel. So you're going to notice that one shoulder is probably going to be a little more mobile than the other. You might have more internal rotation. You might have more external rotation. Some of these asymmetries are pretty normal, but it's really good to work on activating that arm line while working on that internal external rotation. Good. Keep that grip on the stick. Good. Keep it going. Excellent. Move it out to the side. Keep propelling. Good. Keep it going. Keep it going, folks. If it burns, that's okay. I'm right there with you, I promise. It's got to keep a poker face, you know? All right, let's bring it back forward. Good. Hold the stick vertical. Now we're going to cast. So cast the top. Extend. Good. Now we're going to flex. Extend. There we go. Flex. Bring it back. Keep that elbow straight. Breathe. Ooh, the shoulder's on fire. This feels good. Excellent. One more time. Good. Now we're going to go to stirring the pot. So keep that grip on. We're going to start counterclockwise with the bottom. So draw that circle. Good. Keep drawing that circle here. Keep that elbow straight. Remember, you can use that other hand to support. Opposite direction switch. Remember to keep that movement from the wrist. 3, 2, 1, and ease off. Whew. Excellent. Shoulder should be pretty warmed up, probably on fire. So I do want to actually make sure we get into a hip drill. So we're going to actually take the long stick and we're going to do some hip abductions. And we're going to use the stick to actually slide our foot up. So let's go ahead and get into that here. So ordinarily we do 2 sticks. Today we're doing with 1. So you need to make sure that you actually keep a good balancing point. So keep an eye on that. So we're going to have our feet together. Now the stick is going to be angled in about roughly a foot from the outside of midfoot. This is just to start. We are going to incrementally move the stick outwards. So stick is lined up with midfoot, arm is at shoulder height. We're going to drive that stick down about 40% tension. I'm going to hover the right foot, bring it to the stick, and push with the outside of that midfoot here. You're going to feel the lat, oblique, and that lateral hip really light up here. Push about 40%, bring the leg back in and ease off. I'm going to move the bottom of the stick out a couple of inches here. Same thing, arm straight. Drive that stick down. Make sure you stay vertical. Hover that right foot. Bring it to the stick and push. You want to try to keep your body alignment exactly the same. You don't want to find that you're leaning here. 3, 2, 1. Back in and ease off. Move that stick out a couple more inches here if you can. Arm straight, shoulder down, drive the stick into the floor, hover the right foot, bring it to the stick and push. Now, slide that foot up the stick while keeping the knee pointed outwards. Good. Bring it back down, nice and slow. In, ease off. Good. Let's go one more time here. Get a full grip on the stick. Drive that stick down. Hover that right foot. Bring it to the stick and push. Push, push, push. Good. Slide that foot up the stick. Keep the knee out and open. 3, 2, 1. Down. Nice and slow. Good. Back in and ease off. Excellent. We're going to switch sides here. So here's a tip. Make sure you grab the ground with your foot here. Do not let your foot be relaxed, folks. All right, so I'm actually going to kind of show this from a little bit of an angle here. So feet are together. Sticks on my left side now, starting with that same distance. Arms straight out at shoulder height. Drive that stick down. Hover the left foot off the floor. Bring it to the stick and push 40%. 3, 2, 1. Back in. Ease off. Excellent. Move that stick out a couple of inches. Same thing. Drive that stick into the floor. Hover that left foot. Bring the foot to the stick and push. Should be feeling that left glute. Left lateral line. All kicking on here. 3, 2, 1. Good. Back in and ease off. Good thing about this, we get working that right side too. So if you're feeling that right glute and right hip fire, that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and move that stick out a couple of extra inches here. Same thing, we're gonna slide that foot up the stick now. Grip the stick, drive the stick into the floor, hover the left foot, bring the foot to the stick. Remember, slide it up, keep that knee out. 3, 2, 1, down. Excellent, back in, and ease off. Woo. One more time. All right, drive that stick down, hover the left foot, bring it to the stick, slide that foot up the stick, push, 3, 2, 1, back down, good, in, and ease off. Woo, excellent. All right, so now we're gonna get into the shoulder drill. I'm gonna grab the short stick for this one. We are going to need it. So, in terms of positioning, how's it going? In terms of positioning, we're actually gonna work with shoulder extension from an externally rotated shoulder position. Typically, we tend to do it from an internally rotated position. Instead, we're gonna flip so our hands are actually facing towards the front of our body or towards the anterior aspect of our body here. So I'm gonna step back a little bit. Now, in terms of how wide you grip, it depends, right? If you're really, really mobile, you can actually have your hands in pretty close and actually have it be a pretty good challenge. If you're not as mobile, my suggestion would be to start off wider, all right? So I'm actually gonna show us from the side here. Again, it's gonna be important to keep that alignment. So feet are at shoulder, about hip to shoulder width, squeeze those glutes. You already know. So I'm gonna go with a wider than shoulder width grip, palms facing towards the front of my body, thumbs are facing out. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull the stick apart, about 40% tension. You should feel your shoulder blades retract. Now, keeping the chin back, I'm going to pull the stick away from my butt. Hold. 3, 2, 1, back in, nice and slow, and ease off. That's gonna feel quite a bit different from our usual internally rotated position. You're gonna get way more lats, way more of that mid and upper back here. If you want, you can bring your hands in a little closer. Let's go again. So let's increase that tension. Squeeze the glutes, pull the stick apart 60%, arms straight, extend, 3, 2, 1, back in nice and slow. Ease off. If your lats are cramping, that's okay. I'm gonna bring my hands in a little closer because I want more of a challenge. Let's go 2 more. Let's increase that tension again. Let's go 75%. Arms straight, squeeze the glutes, pull that stick apart, 75% tension. Bring the stick away from the hips. Keep that chin back. 3, 2, 1. Good. Back in nice and slow. Ease off. One more time here, folks. Last one. Pull the stick apart, squeeze the glutes. Let's go 90%. Extend. 3, 2, 1. Good. Back in. Nice and slow. Ease off. Perfect. Good. It's a really good way to work on that shoulder extension, but in the way that we really actually need to strengthen it, which is an externally rotated position, getting back here. So now we're gonna go with a behind the neck shoulder press. So I'm gonna call push-pull cadence. We're gonna press the stick up overhead. So it's important that we do not change our hip position. We're not doing anything funky. So as usual, squeeze those glutes, folks. So I'm gonna start with the stick actually behind my head here. Now, grip is going to always depend on you. What's most mobile? Your shoulders should be feeling pretty warmed up by now. So I'm gonna bring my grip in. My feet are gonna be about roughly shoulder width apart. I'm gonna have my feet pointed forward. I'm gonna squat down, squeeze the glutes. Locks everything in, especially that low back. From here, gripping the stick, pull the stick apart, about 50% tension, and I'm going to slowly press it up overhead. All the way to lockout. Now from here, I'm going to compress the stick. You're going to feel those anterior delts turn on, come down nice and slow. Keep your chin back. Ease off. Excellent. We're going to go a couple more here. I'm going to turn to the side here so you can all see what that looks like. Same thing. Squeeze those glutes. Lock them in tight. Pull the stick apart. Keep those elbows under the stick. Press up. Compress the stick. Down. Nice and slow. And ease off. Good. Let's go 2 more here. Right, let's go ahead and change that cadence. Now we're going to start with shortening the stick. So from here, get in a nice tall position, shorten the stick. You're going to feel those anterior delts turn on. Press. Good. Pull apart. Bring the stick down. And ease off. Last one, folks, last one. Get set in position, compress the stick, chin back, press up overhead. Lock out, pull apart, bring it down, nice and slow. And ease off. Woo. Excellent. All right, now we're going to get into that core drill I was talking about earlier. So for this, you are going to need the corner of a wall, something stable for you to press the stick into. So not only are we going to be pulling up, but we need to really be driving as if it's kind of like a spear. So I'm actually going to move this over just a smidge, All right, so I'm going to grab the long stick for this one. In terms of stance, so my right hand, my right foot's forward, my right hand I want in the middle of the stick. Now, the objective here is not only to drive that stick down, but we're going to pull up. We're going to create a bow on the stick. You're going to feel the lats, the obliques, you're going to feel that back hip working. So you need to make sure that your hips are facing forward. You don't want your foot to be angled outwards. So everything needs to be forward here. Now the bottom of the stick is effectively in line with my left hip here, right, with my back hip to be specific. So distance, you're gonna have to play around with it. I'm gonna stand back. I have my left hand at the end of the stick here. Right hand's going down. So again, it's kind of like a shovel, right? So from here, I'm on the ball and toes of my back foot. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to drive the stick into the wall, into the corner here, about 60%. Now I'm going to pull up with the right, push down with the left, and I'm going to laterally flex. 3, 2, 1. Good. I'm going to ease off and relax. All right? So it's just as if we're trying to spear and pick something up with that end. I'm going to rotate the stick a little bit. We're going to do that a couple more times. So let's get set up in position. Drive that stick forward and down. Pull up with the right, push down with the left. Laterally flex your spine a little. 3, 2, 1. Good. I'm going to ease off. Nice and slow. Rotate that stick again. Last one. Drive that stick into the wall. Good. Pull up with the right, push down with the left. Flex that spine. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off and relax. Now we're going to switch sides here. Now when I say, let me explain this real quick. When I say laterally flex this, it should be almost like you're trying to bring your shoulder and hip kind of to meet. That's going to intensify that contraction. All right, let's go ahead and get set up here. Set up in the same position. Left hand's going forward, right hand's by the hip. Ball and toes of the back foot. First, drive the stick down into the wall. Push down with the back hand, pull up with the front hand. Keep that lateral flexion going. 3, 2, 1. We're going to ease off. Excellent. Let's go ahead and rotate that stick a little bit. It's a very unorthodox drill, I know. So left hand extended out, right hand's by the hip. Drive the stick down and forward. Push down with the back hand, pull up with the inside. Keep that spine laterally flexed. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to ease off. Excellent. Rotate that stick one last time. Last one here, folks. Hands on the stick. All right, drive, push. Create that boat. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off and relax. Ooh-wee. That was a good one. I like that one. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, let's set this back a little bit. We're first going to start off with some rotations here. So, I'm going to use the same corner we're just pushing into. I'm going to set the bottom of the stick along that corner here. Now, my hand's going to be on top of the stick, and what I'm going to do here is I want the stick to be right about where my midfoot is. We don't want the stick to be above the head, or our hand to be above the head. We want it to be right in line with our rib cage. So from here, my hand, I got an overhand grip on the top of the stick here. I'm going to first start to hinge, and I'm going to bring that stick in line with my rib cage, reaching towards the ground with my left hand. So we're getting that rotation in the spine, but at the same time opening up the chest and shoulders. I'm going to come back up. Excellent. We're going to do that again. So hinge back. Stick comes in line with the rib cage. Reach that left hand towards the floor. Breathe. Good. Come up nice and slow. Excellent. This last one, we're going to reach across with the left hand to grip the stick, and then we're going to drive that stick into the floor. So it's going to enforce more rotation. So from here, hinge. Come down. Take the left hand, reach across, place it on the stick. Now with both hands, drive the sticks to the floor. You're going to get more rotation here. 3, 2, 1. Back down, let go with the left hand, and stand up. Excellent. We're going to switch sides. So now the stick's going to my left side here. So you'll actually see the alignment of the stick relative to my torso and my rib cage. So left hand's up top. Excuse me. And we're going to hinge. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Come back up. Excellent. Let's go 2 more. Hand on top of the stick. Hinge. Remember, you want that stick coming across towards the rib cage here, folks. Take advantage of that stretch. 3, 2, 1. It's going to come up. Excellent. Now we're going to reach across with that right hand, drive the stick into the floor to get that extra rotation. So hinge. Excellent. I'm going to reach across with the right hand. I'm going to drive both hands into this floor. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Come up. And relax. Perfect. I'm going to shift this over just a little bit. All right. So now we're going to get into the bow and arrow first, and then we're going to work on opening up that spine, specifically with extension. So I'm going to have the stick out to my left, and we're going to progress through bow and arrow as well, so we're not just going to stick to one. So the stick is in line with the mid part of my left foot. I have it about roughly 6 to 8 inches away from the outside of my foot here. Hand is going to be at waist height. I'm going to take my right hand, come up over the top, thumb facing down towards the floor. I'm going to drive the hips away, drive the stick into the floor, then extend my hands out. I'm going to ease off, nice and slow. Good. Rotate that stick a bit. We're going to do that same thing. Drive the hips away, push the hands into the floor, extend those hands out. Good. Back in. Nice and slow. Ease off. Now I'm going to move the bottom of the stick out a little bit. Cross my right foot behind my left foot. Both feet are still facing forward here. So now, the hand is still roughly about where the hip height is. Take my right hand up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive the hips away, drive the stick down. Extend those hands out. Now you're going to get an even bigger stretch on that lateral line here. Good. I'm going to slowly ease off. Now we're going to switch sides. I'm going to change my stance here. Move it over. Stick is in the same spot on the opposite side now, so it's outside of my right foot. Line up with the midfoot. It's important. Hand about where waist to hip height is. Take my left hand up over the top. Drive the hips away. Drive the stick into the floor. Extend those hands out. Breathe. Back in. Nice and slow. Now we're going to rotate that stick. Same thing. Right hand up over the top. Thumb facing down. Drive the hips away. Drive that stick into the floor. Extend. 3, 2, 1. Back in. Ease off. Now we're going to move the bottom of the stick away a bit. Left foot behind the right foot. Both feet are still facing forward. Same thing. Take the left hand up over the top. Drive the hips away. Drive the stick into the floor. Extend. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off, nice and slow, and relax. Now we're going to take the short stick here. Going to get into cooling down those shoulders. So we're first going to get into some dislocates. I do want to kind of get back into the kayaking, but what we're going to do is we're going to do a push-pull kind of mix into it, just to work on loosening up those shoulders at those different ranges. So let's start off with some dislocates first. So this is a 5-foot stick. I'm going to grip out as wide as I possibly can. If you have a 4-foot stick, or depending on your mobility, you might not be able to do a full dislocate, and that's okay. All right, so work with whatever range you have, as long as it's not painful, as usual. So I'm going to grip out wide. I'm going to have my feet facing forward, about roughly shoulder width apart. Now from here, thumbs facing in, or my palms are facing towards my body. I'm going to pull the stick apart, about 20%. I'm going to bring it up, nice and slow. Try to come up and over. Good. Come down if you can. Touch your low back, then back up and over. Pulling apart the entire time. Excellent. I'm going to move my hands in a little closer. Do that same thing. Squeeze those glutes. Make sure that low back doesn't kick out. Pull apart. Come up. Nice and slow. Good. All the way back if you can. Just come back up. Pause here. Breathe. You come up. Over. Excellent. I'm going to wiggle my hands in a little bit closer. This is the last one. Then we're going to get into that kayaking I was talking about. Pull the stick apart. 20%. Come up. Nice and slow. Arms straight. Come back. Good. Back up. Hold here. Good. Back up. And over. And ease off. Excellent. So for the kayaking here, it's going to be a little different because instead of having our hands at the ends of the stick or fingertips into the stick, we're actually going to do a grip where our thumbs are facing away from one another. So we can add in that push-pull as I see fit, right? So I'm going to grip the stick like so, right? Palms are facing away from my body. So I'm going to have my feet roughly about hip to shoulder width apart, toes are forward. From here, start my right hand up, and I'm going to slowly drive that right hand through, up and over, now the left. Stop here. Now pull apart. Only about 20%. Compress the stick now. Good. Pull apart. Compress. Excellent. Now keep going through. Keep that grip on the stick. Pause. Pull apart. Compress. Excellent. Pull apart. Compress. Good. Keep working through. Doing good, folks. Doing good. Pause. Pull apart. 20%. Compress. Pull apart. Try to lengthen that stick. Compress. Excellent. Just go through. Keep going. Doing good, folks. Good. Pause. Pull apart. Compress. Breathe. Pull apart. And compress. Let's go ahead, loosen them up a little bit more. Three, two, one, and ease off. Excellent. That, my friends, concludes today's stick mobility class. Thank you for joining me. Hope everybody had a good class today. I'm going to do something a little different with that shovel drill we did earlier. So stay safe out there. Catch y'all on the next one. Have a good day.